was September 1st, 1993. I had come home from water aerobics, rested a little bit, decided I'd go out and edge the yard. And while I was doing that, I had severe pain hit me in the back of my neck, and suddenly I couldn't see clearly. I could see the second yard over my neighbor up there with his little grandchild, so I started up over there. And by the time I got up to where he was, he said, "What in the world has happened to you?" I said, "I don't know, but will you please take me to the hospital?" So he said, "Just as soon as I get my wife to come take my little grandchild, watch my grandchild, then I'll take you to the hospital." He took me. That was a pretty long ride. And all the way to the hospital, I only knew one name to call on. And I said, "Jesus," all the way to the hospital. He got there and ran in and got a nurse. They brought me in a wheelchair, took me to the admissions desk, and I was able to give the lady my younger sister's phone number and the lady in whose home I lived, her phone number at work, and my social security number. And suddenly they came and grabbed my chair and went off down the hall. Well, I had passed out. Next thing I knew, my doctor was there, and he said, "Mildred, you have a brain aneurysm." Now mind you, this was not just an ordinary brain aneurysm. This was a ruptured brain aneurysm. And I said, "Well," and never have I had any more peace than I had at that time. I said, "Well, am I going to die?" And he said, "Well, you may." He said, "You will without surgery, and you may with surgery." So I said, "Well, you say a prayer for me and get me a good doctor." He said, "Well, he's here right now." In the meantime, my friend came, and they let her come in, and I said, "Girl, if you've ever prayed, I need your prayers now." She went out and called our church, and I understand that the entire staff just fell on their knees and began to pray. And she called everybody she knew, and she knew a lot of people. Now mind you, she didn't say, "What church do you belong to and what do you believe?" She said, "Pray." So people were praying everywhere. So I came too, but in the meantime, the doctors were telling my sister flew in from Colorado, and they were telling my two sisters and my friend that if I came through the surgery, which they didn't know if I would or not, then I'd be in intensive care for at least 3 weeks. And then I would be in the hospital for an extended time, after which they would probably have to send me to an institution. Well, people were praying. God was listening. And I was in intensive care 1 week, then was put in a room in the hospital. Every morning the doctor came by. Now I was only in that room for 1 more week. The doctor would come by and ask me all these questions, and I would answer every one of them, and then he would look at me and say, "I don't think you know just how lucky you are." To which I answered, "I know how blessed I am." So that went on for a week, and they sent me home to recuperate. It took a little while, recuperation. I wasn't up on my feet all the time, but I was doing better. But I do know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I was there. That God, in His infinite mercy, looked down on me and brought me through that thing, and no ill effects from it. I told the doctor not long ago what had happened, and I said, "It's documented there at the hospital. They know." And I told him about it, and he just scooted up on the end of his chair. He was sitting there at the end of my bed on a chair, and he said, "Mildred, we couldn't have done that." I said, well, maybe you helped, but you didn't do that. So, I'm very grateful to God, and that's why I may sound a little fanatic at times and all that, but I know who God is, and Jesus my Savior, and I know they heard me when I really needed help, and they're still listening.